Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, again, Bloomberg puts Obi ahead of Atiku and Tinubu. Also, more governors drag federal government to court over Naira redesign. And later on the show, PDP expels Chimaroke Nnamani, Fayose's son, others. The course of the program, we'll take your questions. But first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you again, BKO, and we apologize to our audience for coming up late. We have just a bit of connectivity issues.
Thank you, Brian. And I want to say a big thank you to our loyal fans for standing by us through thick and thin. I apologize for not getting this started in good time.
Right. So let's quickly set the ball rolling. Again, a fresh poll by Bloomberg News has placed the Labour Party's Peter Obi as the leading presidential candidate ahead of this month's election.
It does look like every poll conducted have declared for Peter Obi. Is this in tandem with the reality on ground, BKO?
Well, the truth is, these polls, the parameters used, the technology used certainly favors the segment of our population. More than 60% of Nigerians do not have smartphones. And these polls have targeted Nigerians who have access to smartphones. So, yes, a lot of our people, yes, the polls, especially the last one conducted for Bloomberg on behalf of Premise Corporation, actually sampled people in the rural areas. But of course, the preponderance of the polls sampled people with smartphones. So in such a situation, a good number of our people who do not have access to phones, not to talk of smartphones, will have been left behind in this kind of survey. So it's difficult to say that these polls are representative, but it also does not make any sense to completely discountenance these polls. One thing is certain, Obi has worked very hard across the country and he has garnered support across the country. No one can take that away from him. No one can deny the fact that Obi has galvanized this race. He has made this race tougher for both Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his long-term friend, Atiku Abubakar. But as I've said repeatedly, opinion polls are not exact science. And to that extent, you cannot, at this point, say that what we have seen in form of those opinion polls is what will happen on election day. There would be accurate polling results in respect of some states, but I do not believe that that is what you will see. That is what will exactly pan out on election day. All the 6 polls that we have seen have indicated that Peter Obi will win the election. But I know that the main battleground in this presidential election is the Northwest. That's where the bulk of the votes are. And If you can do very well in the Northwest and do very well in the Southwest, you are likely to win the election. So it's not exact science. You cannot say with finality that the result, that what we have seen in form of this polling is what we'll see on election day. Whoever says that does not know what he's talking about. And for me, the next year polls was accurate to an extent, but it was flat out wrong in my view in some cases. For example, the next year polls indicate that Peter Obi of Labour Party will win 4 of the 5 of the 6 states of the Southwest. I don't see how Peter Obi alone can win 4 states in the Southwest, while the candidate of the APC, who is from the Southwest, will win only on those states. That is what the next year polls indicate. Then the polls also showed that Obi will win all the states of the South-South and win all the states of the Southeast. The polls, that's the next year polls, also show that APC will win Adamawa State, which is the home state of Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Well, I was in Adamawa State for 9 days. While I was there, I didn't see any indication, anything pointing to an APC victory in the presidential election in that state. I saw evidence that APC would do well, but I didn't see signs that APC would defeat Atiku in that state. And if you see some of the percentages allocated to the candidates, talking about Bloomberg, Tinubu will score 18% to come second in the Bloomberg, according to the Bloomberg poll, while Atiku will score 10%. Whereas Peter Obi will score 66%. I mean, this is a rout, because when you combine, according to what Bloomberg has come up with, when you combine the total percentage of voters attributed to Atiku and Tinubu, they will not even be up to half. That will be 28%. They are telling us that Atiku and Tinubu will poll 28% of the total votes in our country, whereas Peter Obi will poll 66%. That is more than double what both Atiku and Tinubu are projected to score. I do not see how the election can pan out in this manner. We are not going to have a situation in which Peter Obi will score more than 2 times what both Tinubu and Atiku will score. And the reason I'm saying this is, if you look at voter behavior and everything, and the number of voters available in the geopolitical zones, in terms of voter behavior, the Northwest always outvotes other parts of the country. And then the Southwest has more registered voters than any part of the country. I do not think that Peter Obi has such tremendous support in the Northwest, to the point that he can now score 66% of the votes, while his 2 main rivals, including even if we put Kwankwaso in the mix, Kwankwaso is from the northwest, is from Kano, that is expected to outvote everybody. You put all of this together, you are telling me that Peter Obi will score more than 2 times the votes that Atiku and Tinubu and even Kwankwaso will score. That is far-fetched. That is a long shot. I do not see that happening. I do not see that happening. And that's talking about the Bloomberg poll. For next year, the next year poll was a little closer. It projects that Peter Obi will score 37% of the votes, Atiku 27%, and Tinubu 24%. That makes the election kind of close. We all expect a close presidential election. So the next year poll looks, in terms of percentage allocated to the dominant candidates, the next year poll, in my view, is more representative, more believable than the Bloomberg poll, because the Bloomberg poll assumes that 66% of Nigerians on election day will choose Peter Obi over others. I do not believe that this is what will happen. The next year poll also indicates that 72%, that the Labour Party has 72% net favorability. You know, when you put everything together, you see the Bloomberg poll projected that Tinubu will come second, a distant second. But the next year poll indicated that Tinubu will come third. You know, so it's a mixed bag of confusing outcomes as far as I'm concerned, and maybe because the people behind most of these polls are not registered here. Yes, they may hire pollsters, they may hire people to work for them here, enumerators and the rest of them, but they do not live with us here, and I don't think they are sufficiently knowledgeable about voter behavior in our country to come up with conclusions that you and I can take to the bank.
Yeah.
I project that Obi will have a good outing in this election, but the kind of numbers that these people are banding about are unbelievable. There is no way Peter Obi will score 66% of the votes cast in the presidential election, leaving 2 dominant politicians more experienced than him in the trade, leaving them far behind, more than 2 times what those ones are projected to score. That is a long shot. It's unbelievable.
Biko, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right, great, fantastic. So I've got some messages here. Some people who have actually, some of our viewers actually making their own submissions. But then before I go to their comments, the Bloomberg actually said that they sampled 2,384 Nigerians. They were polled from January 26th to February the 4th via a smartphone app. You know, that sounds quite interesting. Via a smartphone app, and then just a little over 2,384 to be precise. So we've got more than 90 million registered voters who are going to be participating in this election. Is that not a far cry from what, based on what you've said? You answered that, but then let me quickly take 1 or 2 comments from here. We've got Anthony Goodman saying, Jide, did you see the massive turnout today in Lagos for Obi? My advice, Tinubu and Atiku should step down for Obi. Even Britain, Bloomberg, and America knows Obi will win. Fabian Akaise says, why has INEC not intervened in this polling controversy? The chairman of INEC should tell foreign organizations to stay away. even Labour Party know they have no supporters in plenty Nigerian states. And we've got many other comments, but then I think that's how far I can go. Okay, Emmanuel Osi said you want them to say no. Okay, so BK, quickly a quick reaction to that. We've got 2 more issues to discuss.
Yeah, the one, there is no point in the INEC getting involved in polling. Those who want to do polling can go ahead and do polling. That is not the business of INEC. INEC will never get involved in that. My only concern tallies to an extent with what Rabiu Kwankwaso, the candidate of the NNPP, said. He said these polls are ludicrous in nature and could push supporters of Labour Party to believe that the election was rigged if the outcome did not favor them. And he talked about what happened in 2011 when supporters of President Muhammadu Buhari came out to riot, believing that he had been rigged out of the presidential election. And I think to an extent he's right, because if Bloomberg will come here to tell us that 66% of Nigerian voters would vote for Peter Obi on election day, more than 2 times, more than double those who will vote for Atiku and Tinubu, nothing can be farther from the truth. And I hope it doesn't give the Labour Party supporters the belief that they have this all-sown hope. This election is not going to be easy. Bloomberg wants us to believe that this election will be a one-sided affair, because whoever scores 6% of votes in an election is a rout. It's a complete rout. It's one-sided. Nobody will score that kind of. Nobody will perform like that in this election. It's not going to happen. Nobody will have that quantum of votes to himself. Nobody. Even the president, as popular as he was in 2015, he was only able to defeat Goodluck Jonathan by 4 percentage points. Now, somebody is talking about Obi scoring 66%. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And
let's move on to the other issues.
Also do not determine what happens on
its counterparts, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara, as well as Ondo, in suing the federal government over the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria at the Supreme Court. With the hardship this policy has brought on Nigerians, how much concern is of this to you, BKO?
And I think even the governors are moving beyond whether the CBN has the power based on the law to institute reforms, to come up with monetary policy and all that. That's not the point that a lot of the governors are making. I was really surprised when the governor of Edo State came out to say, look, it's not every governor that is opposed to this policy to redesign our currency. He was trying to give the impression that people like Nasir El-Rufai were in the minority and all that. But the governor of Edo State should be ashamed of himself. If you can see a policy that has inflicted pain. In recent times, I've not seen anything that has inflicted pain on Nigerians as much as this policy. And it's not as if the policy is bad. No one is saying the policy is bad, but the implementation is what is bad. So I will expect someone like the governor of Edo State whom I have some regard for, especially on his knowledge of business and economy. He should be talking about the pains inflicted on the people. No one is saying don't redesign the Naira or don't repaint the Naira, because that's what they have done. There's no redesign in the real sense of the word. But if any policy will push Nigerians to tears, if any policy will cause the death of Nigerians, if any policy will inflict agony of Nigerians, it's only an inhumane and wicked governor that will not see anything wrong about that policy, that will not be concerned about how to put an end to the misery that our people are going through. And you do that, and some have gone to court over that, looking for a way out, looking for a way to make Nigerians, to ease the pain of Nigerians, and you are trying to make it look like they've done something wrong. What have they done wrong? What's all this attempt at being politically correct? The same politicians that we know are crooked, the same politicians that we know, we are seeing them supporting something that inflicts pain on our people and trying to do the holier than thou stuff. We need it to make it difficult for counterfeiting to happen. We need it to battle money launderers. We need it to stamp out vote buying. Absolute rubbish. By this policy, you cannot stamp out vote buying. God will spare our lives. We'll see, even if the situation remains like this, politicians will still bribe voters on election day. It is the ordinary man that is suffering. And that's why I see some of the governors are asking for reversal, not even on the point of law, but on the basis of the fact that this is inflicting pain on our people. Look at what the Niger State governor just joined other governors in this suit, and is asking that the apex court should stop this the policy, because it is inflicting hardship on our people, especially people resident in the rural communities. That's what he's saying. The governor of Kano on his part said, look, this thing, the policy did not even follow due process, that the Federal Executive Council should have been informed, the NEC should have been informed, that the president has not got the power to unilaterally direct the CBN governor to do this. And we've seen now that, look, this was not properly digested, not properly thought out, and so poorly implemented by a CBN that has shown over the years, under the leadership of Emefiele, to be thoroughly incompetent. We cannot point to any major policy that this current CBN has undertaken that you can say has been a success. The other day, the CBN governor said, no, we will no longer sell dollars to BDCs. The BDCs are the reason that the value of the Naira has come crashing. He began to sell dollars to his colleagues in the banks. What have we seen? The value of the Naira further went down. The man has not managed our currency competently, but he can manage the inflicting of pain on our people quite competently, demonstrating arrogance in the process. So for a lot of our people, they think, oh, this is something that they can play politics about. If our people take to the streets and they start killing people, some of the civil society people who are taking money to take position against the interests of the masses, some of them will not be able to come out of their homes. And as I've said in the course of the week, it's not enough to copy India. You must let Nigerians know that when India came up with this, it damaged the economy significantly. and a lot of poor people, people whose businesses are small scale in nature, agriculture, and the rest of those who are into agriculture, they suffered. Because these are people who exchange currency. They do not really do internet banking or digital transactions. So we are concerned about the impact of this on the ordinary people. We don't have enough banking penetration. You see a whole state having banks in only 4 communities. A whole state with no less than 17 local governments. In Nigeria today, out of 774 local governments, more than 400 of those local governments do not have banks. And it may fairly envisage a situation in which people will go and deposit their money in the banks. Oh, how about those who do not have bank accounts? Emefiele has mobbed up more than 2.7 trillion naira from Nigerians who were quick to go and deposit their money in the banks. But he has only been able to print 400 billion naira. So why are we not going to have scarcity? The whole thing has been blamed on banks, accusing banks of hoarding just because they were able to lay their hands on 1 or 2 cases and about 2 videos. That is not representative of what's going on across our country.
Right.
Banks simply do not have enough, they do not have enough new notes. And Absolutely. That is why the neck of our country is saying, look, print more, right, or cause the old notes to circulate more. That cannot be a bad idea. Phase out the new notes gradually. Absolutely. Extend the time for our people to be able to exchange this thing, and in the process, any old note that enters the bank will not come out. Extend it to like 6 months. For example, after all in the UK, it was 2 years. So why are we so wicked to the ordinary man? Why are we so wicked to other people? Just because for us, we have everything that we need. So right, we can actually not, we do not bother to think about the poor people. Absolutely. There's a Yoruba song that Bamu Bamu Layo, Bamu Bamu Layo. That is the attitude of our leaders, of people in government. They do not care about the ordinary man. And I'm telling you, politicians are not suffering over this. If you said this was targeted at stopping vote buying, politicians will find the money to use on election day. Already some of them have all that they need. A bank, a governor who keeps billions of naira with a bank, if he says he wants some millions, who is that bank MD that will not give him?
Thank you. Because
of course, they will give him. Huh?
Yeah, you're right. Because of our time, we need to race on. We need to change tack. Talk about the final issue for today, which is on the PDP suspending its members. Because the party not suspending, expelled a former governor of Enugu State, Chimaroke Nnamani, and 6 others from the party for anti-party activities and other grave offences in violation of its constitution. How would you describe this, BK?
Yes, for me, I actually expected this to happen. After the suspension, if you observed, Nnamani did not stop working or campaigning for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For him, it's a matter of conviction. He believes that power should go to the south. As far as he's concerned, he does not want to see rotation of power back to the north. He wants power to shift to the south. That was what the PDP would have done. But some elements in the PDP chose to not respect the constitution of their own party. And they have torn the party apart as a result of that act of selfishness. Now, as far as Nnamani is concerned, There's nothing like going back on his word. It is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that he wants to support. And he's bent on doing that without giving a hoot about the implications or repercussions. But we need to look at the law. What does the law say? Can the party get away with expelling Nnamani and 6 others at this time? These 6 individuals holding on to the tickets of the party for National Assembly seats. What are you going to do about them? Do you intend to take the tickets from them? Because what is the point in expelling someone from the party if he is still able to contest the national elections, the general election? What is the point? So if you look, the Electoral Act does not envisage that at this time, with just 2 weeks to the election, the Electoral Act does not envisage that any party can change its candidate at this time, except if the candidate withdraws or the candidate dies in the days leading to the election. Expulsion is not one of the grounds upon which a party can change its candidate. Section 33 says a political party shall not be allowed to substitute its candidates whose name has been submitted, except in the case of death or withdrawal by the candidate. That's what Section 33 of the Electoral Act says. Section 221 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 Constitution says, no association other than a political party shall canvass for votes for any candidate at any election. So, with these guys expelled now, where are they? Which party is sponsoring them for election? Which party will be canvassing for them? Nnamani believes that he is backed by law, that the National Working Committee of the party has no power to expel, to punish, except the neck of the party. And let me quote what the law says. Notwithstanding any other provision of the Constitution relating to discipline, no executive committee at any level except the National Executive Council shall entertain any question of discipline as may relate or concern a member of the NEC, president, vice president, governors, deputy governors, ministers, ambassadors, special advisors, or member of any of the legislative houses. So the PDP constitution permits only the neck of the party to discipline Nnamani. So as far as is concerned, the party cannot punish him. So section 65 2B of the National Constitution says a person shall be qualified for election if he is a member of a political party and is sponsored by that party. So that is where the confusion is. If a section of the Constitution says you shall be qualified to contest, that you shall be qualified to contest, you are a member of a political party. What happens when you are expelled? What would the party do? I'm sure that in the coming days, we will be able to see clearly the intention of the PDP. But the law is kind of contradictory in a way, because a portion of the Constitution says you can only contest if you are a member of a party. So once a party expels you, it means you are no longer a member of the party. But The Electoral Act also says that the party cannot substitute a candidate this close to an election, and it specifies how you can substitute a candidate. That's in the case of death, or if the candidate on his part says, look, I'm withdrawing. So, by the letters of the Electoral Act, Nnamani will still remain the candidate of the party, along with Lere Olayinka, and the rest of them who are demerged as candidates of the party at the party primaries. So, based on the electoral, they are free to contest. They will be on the ballot, because the window for substitution of candidates has already been shut. So, as I said earlier, in the coming days, we will seek in bold relief what the PDP intends to do. Do they intend to take this matter further legally? Do they intend to explore some loopholes? For example, the Constitution is superior to any act. So now we don't know how the courts will interpret the portion of the Electoral Act that stipulates that you can't change at this time, and the Section 65 2B that says that a person can only contest an election when he is a member of a political party. So somebody expelled cannot be described as a member of a political party anymore. So it's a kind of dicey situation.
Right.
But I know that in the coming days, we'll see clearly where this whole thing will end.
I think the fact that you have actually quoted the relevant section of the Electoral Act 2022, says a lot, because we're actually out of the 14 days where they can, it didn't withdraw and all that. So Fabian Akeze says, PDP is only making matters worse for themselves. Appointing Ayu as national chairman of PDP was a big mistake. Atiku should have stepped down Atiku should step down for Wike for power to go to the south as soon as possible. I don't know how that's going to be, a reality any longer. Yaya Dako says, we will continue to support the true journalism. Don't just come and bash him because of your personal tribal or whatever judgment. I think this person is actually speaking in your favor, based on some, what's that word? Some people attacking your opinion here. Tony Goodman says, PDP Enugu should forget Nnamani. He is no longer relevant in Enugu politics. Moreover, he has just one vote. Here says, I think we have some messages here. But then the fact that Fabian is saying that Ayu is making matters worse, and that Atiku should, because he has also done some things against the PDP itself. He has offended. He has committed offense against the party itself. So Atiku should step down for Wike as soon as possible. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it's too late in the date. It's too late. Even if Atiku decides to go now, it will still be on the ballot. So what's the essence? It will still be on the ballot. It's too late to change. I think Atiku's desire to be president, his overriding desire to be president, pushed him to even get into the race in the first place. Ideally, since the national chairman had come from the north, there's no reason in the world for the candidate of the party to also come from the north. There's no reason at all. But they were told, but they wouldn't listen. Out of greed for political power, they wouldn't listen. And now their party has been torn into shreds, all because of the greed for power by a few people. In any case, Peter Obi is doing very well in all of those states where the PDP used to be very strong. And if Atiku doesn't win this election, you cannot find any other reason beyond Peter Obi, because Peter Obi has energized what used to be Atiku's political base. And that was why Ihedioha, the former governor of Imo State, described Peter Obi as a spoiler, because he knew that the places where they used to be strong, Peter Obi has invaded those places and he has tremendous support in those places. So this is the thing. I can't wait for the election to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, just as we all can't wait for the election to come and go, because all of these halabaloo coming from right, left, and center. So before we go, Biko, Johnson Akimbule is saying that, Mr. Jide, please, we can't condone your costume, Man U jersey. For me, I see it as intimidation. No, don't wear it to national TV.
Well, it's a normal thing. Jeremy Carragher said he's worried about the resurgence of Man U under Ten Hag. People can see now that the team is a change team. Man U is the only club in the whole of England that is still in all the 4 major competitions. They've not been eliminated in a single competition. Still in Europa, still in FA Cup, still in Carabao Cup, still in the league, still in the top 4 in the league. So people, this is the time for people to be really jealous and scared of Man U. And I'm not surprised that my friend is scared.
Interesting. Well, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses. As always, BKO.
Thank you. We'll do this again next week. So close to the election.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us in every edition. We sincerely appreciate your comments and all your, the comments so far. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG, also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.